Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is another video in the series that makes up the Premiere Pro course, and previous videos we have looked at the assembly workspace and we've looked at editing with the timeline, and this time we're going to move into the effects workspace and look in particular at the effects panel. When you're in the Effects Workspace, you will see that there are a number of panels that are presented on the right hand side of your screen. So there is the Effects panel that we'll look at in this video. Essential Graphics is where you would put on captions and use motion graphics potentially that you've created yourself in After Effects or that you have purchased from someone else and installed on your system. Then there is the Essential Sound panel, which we'll cover in a future tutorial, and that allows you to distinguish between the soundtracks and manage the different volume levels of your music soundtrack, your narration, your special effects, and the audio that comes with the video clip itself. There is, importantly, the Lumetri color panel, and this is where you make all the color adjustments that you might want to do to color grade your clips. So it allows you to change the exposure, the contrast, highlights and shadows, all the things that you would do potentially in Lightroom or Photoshop if you were using those panels. And it has quite a bit more besides in terms of the creative workspaces and other effects that you can add in terms of color to your clips. You can manage markers within this work group, and you can also see your history and undo certain actions that you've taken. This might be a little bit more clearer to you than using the edit undo option that's in the menu sequence. So you can, for example, go right back to the beginning of your session or any of the steps in between. Then there is also the info panel, which I must admit I don't use very often, but it shows you information about the clip that you're on, such as the start and the duration of it, and also information about the sequence that you currently have open and are working on. So let's just leave all of those. I'll be coming back to them in future tutorials and move back to the effects panel. Now, in the effects panel, this is where you can create pre-built effects to your sequence. So as an example, if I have two clips here, and if I want to create a transition between those, I can open up video transitions. We can have a look at, for example, dissolve and create a cross dissolve between these two clips. I just drag it from the panel onto the timeline between the two clips, and it has added that transition between the clips. If I now play the clips, you can see that one transitions smoothly into the other with a cross dissolve. There are other ways that we could do these transitions, and we can apply all sorts of other effects. When I find effects that I particularly like and that I'm going to use often, I put them into my favorites. In order to have this option, you need to create a bin. So you can use the little button at the bottom and create a new custom bin and name it favorites. So you just simply click on this, type on the name of the bin and call it whatever you like. So you could create your own bin called favorites. In this case, I don't need to do this again as I've already got one, so I'll just get rid of that. Now in the favorites bin, I have the various effects and transitions that I like to use a lot. To show how you would put them into the favorites bin, simply use drag and drop. So if, for example, you use a wedge wipe quite a bit, then you can just drag it onto favorites and there it appears in the favorites bin. You can get rid of it if you don't want it by typing on the bin icon and deleting it. It's only deleting it out of the favorites. It's not deleting it right out of the effects that you have available to you. So to show some alternative effects here, we could, instead of having the cross dissolve, we could have a wipe in this case. So I would just go to my favorites and I would select the wipe, I would set it in, and then when we play the clips, you have a wipe transition between the two of them. So as I said earlier, time doesn't allow me to go through all of the effects, but just to comment that there are all sorts of Lumetri presets, that's the color grading options that you have that are already provided for you in Premiere. You can apply those to your clips by just simply dragging them onto the clip and seeing how they look. You can do the same sort of thing for audio tracks as well as video tracks. So there are, for example, audio transitions where you can crossfade or fade in another way the sound between two different clips rather than having an abrupt change of sound. There are various audio effects. One that I use and that I've put into my favorites is the vocal enhancer, which sometimes creates a slightly nicer sound to a narration that goes with a video. So those are some of the effects that I would use. You can create your own effects, and this is a very simple thing to do. So if, for example, you color grade a clip and you want to apply that to many other clips, well, you can copy the clip and then paste the attributes to other clips, but sometimes that can be a bit long-winded, and if you do it frequently, it might be easier to create a preset for that. So if we simply look at this clip that I have here, and we look at the Effect Controls panel, you can pick any of those effects and you can turn it into a preset. So if I had some motion or control the opacity, or I had a lumetri preset for color grading, I can simply select whatever effect it is. If I right click on that effect, I can then save preset and I can give it a name and say OK to that. But just before I say OK in this case, if the effect is varied over the duration of the clip, in other words, if it has a time aspect to it, you can set how you want that time to be managed by when the preset is created. So you can scale it according to the length of the clip, or you can anchor it to the in point or to the out point. You can give your preset a name if you wish. So when we say OK, it will go into the preset bins. Here is the demo preset, and if you really want to, you could add it to your favorites, and then it's really accessible for you without having to search through all of the other presets to find it. So here's our demo preset that would contain the motion for that clip, and I can apply it to any other clip that I wish. So it's as easy as that to create your own presets. As I say, those presets can be anything that you put into the effect controls, and you can apply them to clips as you wish. Preset can cover multiple effects. So if I hold down Control and select some of the other clips, and I can then right click and then select Save Preset, and that will create a preset that covers both of these effects in the one preset. You could even select all of your effects, right click on it and save a preset just to make sure that you've covered everything that's in the effects control panel. So that shows you really what you can do with the effects panel. I hope that you find that useful. We'll be returning to some of these points when we look in more detail into, for example, a lumetri color panel, and show you how you can create a particular look in Premiere, and then you can save that as a preset that can quickly be applied to whatever clips you need to. So that's all that I want to say about the effects panel in this particular video. Over the coming weeks, we're going to be adding more videos to the Premiere course series, and over time we'll cover many of the features of Adobe Premiere. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. So if you've enjoyed this video and benefited from it, then please subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell and you'll be notified of the new videos as they're uploaded. I'm going to post a new video each week covering Premiere Pro, After Effects, Audition, Photoshop and Lightroom. So if you're interested in learning about these projects, then please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell and get a new video every week.